All right, welcome to the 45th podcast of the Pickleball Crew. Have you ever entered a tournament and had to play with somebody for the very first time? Well, that's something that's going to be happening more and more. So that's what we're going to talk about today, and Ken's going to start us off.
Great, thanks, Bud. We've had these conversations even more so recently. Vicki and I just played in an MLP in Hattiesburg, and then there is a scramble tournament coming up at Pelican Park that you're going to rotate partners. So you'll be playing with a different person in every one of your matches, all within your level. And just the fact that you've kind of got minutes to go to walk on a court and try to figure out how do you and this person who you may have never ever played with, how are you going to go about winning that match? And so we just started talking amongst ourselves and doing a little research, and we tried to come up what we think are our tips to succeed with a first-time partner. And number one, we all agreed upon, and these are not necessarily in order, but the first one we want to talk about is overly communicate. And we'll actually break this one down into three parts. Jeff's going to start us off with pre-match communication. Jeff, why don't you share some thoughts on the pre-match communication?
Okay, so in our talks with this, some of the things we came up with, when you meet somebody for the first time, you need to talk to them and find out what do they do well, what do they not do so well, where you can try to mesh together. For instance, if I walk up, Ken, me and you have never met each other before, the conversation would probably go something like, well, Ken, do you like driving or dropping the ball? And you're probably going to say, well, Jeff, I've got a really good forehand drive. So immediately, that tells me, hey, this guy likes to drive the ball. He will drop it, but he likes to drive the ball more. So it kind of gives me an idea of your strengths. So before you even hit the court, you need to talk to each other and try to find out, some little tips here and there on how you can mesh each other together.
And you being a left-handed player, you have a whole lot more, I think, to go through than just two right-handed players do. That becomes, you got to discuss the whole middle of the court issue, right?
Well, Vicki, it's not an issue with a lefty and a righty unless somebody's there taking all my balls. No, actually, being a lefty, I think it simplifies things, because if we're gonna try to stack, automatically we know I'm gonna be right side, they're gonna be left side. But let's say I'm gonna use Ken as an example. Both of us are right-handed players. We want to talk and kind of be real with each other. Well, hey, you really like your drive? Yeah. Okay. Ken really likes his drive. And then I say, okay, well, my drive's not quite as good. That might be helping us determine, hey, he's going to play left side, I'm going to play right side. So just kind of figure that out. Or one of us may say, hey, I like drop shots a lot more than I like drives. It's just all little tidbits of information that kind of give you some cues to kind of get you out of the gate, instead of getting into the first 3 points of the match. And this guy's that I'm playing with is driving everything, and I didn't know that before we went out there.
Right, and another pre-match too is I think it's good to discuss with your partner who's going to call the balls. Yours, mine. So you don't have balls going in between you, and neither one goes thinking you were going to go for it, I was going to go for it. So I think it's always good to have one person. And sometimes you get somebody likes to talk or likes to take that control, but go ahead and call whose shot it is on balls that are, can easily be confused.
It does go back to that covering the middle, as well, whether it's a lefty and a righty or a righty and a righty, covering that middle and expectations, because too many times you'll find somebody that pretty much says, I'll cover my side, you cover your side kind of thing. But it's those middle balls that, especially if you have somebody with a strong forehand, that you want them to cover, really more than just their side. So those discussions need to take place as well.
Well, staying with the pre-match, the other thing is does either partner know the opponents, right? So there's a chance to say, hey, I've never played against so and so, but my friend played against them, and this person likes to do that. So there's some good things to discuss too, playing with the first-time opponent, or really in that case, any opponent. Vicki, what about some observation between points? What would be some of the things you'd want to talk about between points?
Well, are you noticing something that's somebody's backhand may be weaker than the other party? Does it seem to be that there's an easier target for you guys to hit on the other side? Any weaknesses? Sometimes it's interesting, but beginning of a match, you'll think, hey, especially mixed doubles, go after the lady. But a number of times, Ken, I know for you and I I've been like, no, she's the stronger player. Go after him. So it's being able to notice those things and adjust, along the way. Are they handling a stronger ball coming to them? Or are they not? Are they struggling with that? Are they great resetters and you just need to slow the ball down? A lot of different things that you can talk about, but the strategy is definitely something that should be ongoing throughout the match.
That's a good point. Jason is one that says he'll drive the ball until he knows that they can handle it. So that's one of his MOs, is to start off driving the ball right at them and see if they can handle it.
And if you're playing with Jason, that type player who's got the good drive, you got two options there. Are you going to try shake and bake every now and then, or are you going to try that a lot? Sometimes with Jason, and this happened to me and him at rec play. We're talking about Jason Turner from down in Homa. This has been a couple years ago. I was going up and I kept getting burned. Well, Jason told me, he said, Jeff, let me drive it. If they block it back, then just stay back and then we'll go fifth shot drop and then get on up to the kitchen. Once he told me that and we started making that our mode of transportation there, we started doing a lot better together. So again, you figure that stuff out. The quicker you can figure that stuff out with your blind date, the more success you can have.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I mean, I think, again, communicating between partners too, and just being able to, for me, you guys have known that now the new thing is just to tell me to relax, so it's like if things starts really getting either out of hand, start getting tense or whatever else, it's just, so that's a good thing to tell your partner to remind me to relax, remind me to do this, remind me to do that, if it's something you think we need an adjustment for, just remind me. So it's ongoing throughout the match. But I think that those observations and learning to adjust are always, important things to look out for. You can talk ahead of time. Again, this is something to talk ahead of time. I'm going to be watching out for these things, help to remind me that if you see something that I'm not seeing, let me know. I just think that those are really good things to communicate about ongoing throughout the whole match.
And so you just finished your first match. So what's that post-match conversation like? What are some of the things, Jeff, you talk about then?
Well, so you want to get some instant feedback on in a win or a loss, instant feedback on, hey, what did we do well together and what did we not do so well together as far as moving on into your next match. So hopefully you gather some information from that first match, seeing what you did well, and you can kind of put your game plan together from that standpoint, depending on what worked and what didn't work. So you want to play to the things that worked well for you and play away from whatever weaknesses you might have found the two of you have together, singularly or as a team. Play away from those things, and hopefully in match number 2 it'll go even better.
It could be an adjustment of who starts out serving first. Could be, Jeff, you talk a lot about just changing things up, and do we stack just to change things up and see if that makes a difference in the match. So
Yeah, I remember at the Hollow Wheels tournament this last year, I had a first-time partner. She was from northern Louisiana. We played our first match. We won it, but it was really close, and we got to talking afterwards, and we concluded that we probably ought to switch sides. So we did that, and we played a lot better after that. So that definitely, when you pick, we talked about other things, but that was the biggest thing that we came up with, that we were just not either one of us were not on the right side.
it can make a big difference. That's for sure.
All right. Good discussion so far, crew. Let's take a little bit of a break. And when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit more about who should play on the right and who should play on the left and how you figure that out.
Welcome to this week's episode of the Pickleball Crew. We are a group of pickleball fanatics based in Southeast Louisiana and are passionate about all things pickleball everywhere. Our focus is to inform, acknowledge those who help build the game regionally, and promote tournaments in our area. We do our best to present this with a love of the sport, a sense of humor, and a lot of fun. So join Vicki Wynn, Ken Wynn, Jeff Fuchsia, and me, Bud Klein, in our latest episode. We are glad you are along for the ride.
Welcome back after that intro, and Ken, keep it going.
Sometimes people determine left side, right side by, well, do you want to serve first? Do you want me to serve first? I know that's happened a lot of times in matches, first-time players. But I think a little more strategy may be knowing who should be positioned on the left and who should be positioned on the right. And there's several ways of determining that. One is if you've got, let's just say you have two right-handed players, but one is a stronger forehand, and the other one is more of a reset type of keep the ball in play type of player. Then you put your stronger forehand player on the left and your resetter on the right. And so that you got that big forehand in the center when it's needed. But there's other ways to do it too. Who's got another suggestion on how that would be determined?
Well, Ken, it's really funny that you said that, because going back to that partner I had at Hollow Wheels, when we started out, that's exactly how we figured out how we determined who was going to be where, is she wanted to serve first. Mm-hmm. And that's where we started, and that turned out not to be, the best strategy.
And another way that people determine if they have a right and a left-hander, sometimes they'll put both forehands in the center. Jeff, you've probably experienced that.
You can determine it like that. Also, some people are more comfortable at the non-volley zone line dinking, more comfortable one side or the other. If the match is one of those matches where both teams end up there at the dink line, you might want to stack whatever partner, a partner that's really comfortable, say on the right side, or as you get into the match and you see matchups, where the person on the right is out dinking the person on the left. You want to go to that as much as possible. Now, not really playing devil's advocate, but just looking at it another way. Let's say it's a blind date where both partners show up and y'all are both very athletic. You might just want to play some straight up pickleball, serving and switching, just like you would play at normal rec play, and keep coming at people from different angles. That might be your best strategy, because we all have different shots, coming at people from different ways, depending on what side of the court you're on. And sometimes that can be a confusing thing for another team when it's like, hey, these two people are coming at us from all different angles, and you just keep switching it up like that.
I actually just had in the MLP the experience of afterwards realizing, whereas we thought we were putting the strongest forehand, on the left side, after talking it through, my better drops are from the left side. And so knowing that and knowing who my partner was, we realized that was a boo-boo to have not put me on the left side, because I could have done way more drops, and he's so fast that he would have been at the net for whatever was coming next. So, again, just even knowing where, if your drops are better from one side too, just might make a difference with where you start.
And I've actually heard two of better players that I've talked to that were a righty and a lefty that like to keep both their forehands to the outside. And they kind of play a little tight down the center and force people to hit to the outside where both of their forehands are. So, I think we've brought up 4 or 5 different strategies there, but the key is determining who should play right, who should play left. If that causes you to stack during the match so that you can keep people on the side that you want them on, or stack in a way that or switch after you serve in a way because you want to keep your best dinker against somebody who they think they can outdink. So you kind of play catty corner to keep those matchups. So there's a lot of ways to go about it. A lot of thought that goes into it, determining left and right players.
And it's not one size fits all. We're just throwing all these ideas out there. You got to figure out, what works for you. It's funny when you're putting different players together. Something that worked with somebody yesterday may not work today with a different person. So it's just kind of communicating and kind of figuring out on the fly where you can have the best experience, tournament experience you can have with this new person.
And you've got to have patience with each other too. I mean, it's new for both of you, and just working the positive points and focusing on what you're doing good together can sometimes just push you through a tough match.
That's right. I mean, having a positive mindset, you're playing with somebody for the first time, and you just want it to be a positive experience. Either way, look, there's games that I start off really slow, and I don't want, you just gotta let people warm up and get going as the game goes on. So sometimes out the gate you're missing your drops, so you're missing your drives, and so you just got to stay patient, especially with your first time partner, and just tell them to hang in there.
That's a good point, Ken, because you can have two really good players that just meet each other, and everybody sometimes has a slow start or a stretch during the game where we have a rough patch. And I think it's even more important with a blind date. You want both people on the court to get comfortable with each other as soon as possible. So your best mode of transportation there is to just stay positive. Tell that person, hey, keep hitting your shots. Keep hitting your shots. It's going to come. And then, hopefully eventually both of you settle in, or whichever one is struggling settles in, and then off you go, meshing together and hopefully having success.
Yeah, yep. I think that's very important.
And one other thought we had on a tip to succeed is definitely closing in on the middle. Don't leave that middle open. Force your opponents to hit balls to the outside. Whether you have a big forehand in the center, you have 2 backhands in the center, but squeeze a little bit on that tee and make sure that you're really covering that middle and not letting balls go down the middle. And in a way that will solve itself on you're not having to call many balls down the center because you've squeezed on the tee. So it'll be obvious whose ball it is, if they start playing you to the outside, either outside.
Yeah. And I just thought of another thing too, is that with not being able to spin around real fast or anything is, talk it over who's going to take lobs and which ones, I've heard it where if it goes over my head, my partner's going to get it. So I need to switch. Going over their head, I'll go get it. We need to switch. So that's another good thing to watch out for. Every now and then you'll end up with an opponent that just is killing you on lobs.
Well, yeah, Vic, that's a general rule, of course. If it goes over your head, it's mine, and vice versa. But what if one of the partners is really good at tracking down lobs? He's really quick, or she's really quick. You know, if you play in gender doubles, a lot of times, if you get that really fast player, you can just let them go retrieve them all if they're good at it.
Right.
Again, you don't know that unless you talk it over. You know, you might talk to somebody and they're like, "Man, I'm not real good at retrieving lobs." So that other person knows if the ball gets lobbed, you better plan on going ahead and getting it, because one little slight pause on a lob and you're too late.
Yeah, and one more thought that we had as far as the tips is play your game, you know, and encourage your opponent to play their game, because you know, even if you have holes between your games or you overlap, it's better if both players are playing out their game and not being timid. So you're each playing to the best of their, you know, your separate abilities. So play your game is another tip that we felt was important to pass along.
Yeah, do what you do well, and stick to it, even if out of the gate it's not going well. You know, during a timeout or in between points, you might mention to your new partner, "Hey, look, I'm usually good at those drop shots. I'm missing them right now, but I'm gonna keep doing my thing here, and hopefully I'll find a groove." That happens with partners that you play with all the time, that you know. Sometimes somebody's struggling. So it's not only important with a blind date, it's important in any matches that you're playing to stick by your partner and give that positive feedback, win or lose. Because if you and we've all seen it, you see that negativity on the court, that usually does not end well. To me, the only way to go is to be positive, and you're trying to get this person to feel comfortable as soon as possible. So give them some positive feedback where you can try to get that thing going in the right direction.
Okay. Any other thoughts on tips to succeed for first-time partners?
If it's a mixed situation, sometimes the conversation would be a little bit different as far as how much coverage the man likes to take versus the lady, and especially up front, you know, that conversation might go a little bit differently than if it was a gender situation.
Vic, I'm gonna tell my mixed partner, look, you go get out of the way, go get over in that corner over there, and I'm gonna control 90% of this court. And if we win, I'm gonna look amazing. If we to lose, I'm gonna blame it on you for those few shots that got to you in that corner messed up.
Or for staying away.
Well,
You didn't do anything, right?
that's a little more predominant in mixed. I've played with very good players that wanted to cover 3/4 of the court with me. So, you know, like a guy like Chase Rigdon will just naturally want to cover a lot of the court, you know,
True.
and he's good at it.
And
So, you know,
I said that jokingly, but that's another thing, is figuring out. Let's say I'm it's a blind date and I'm playing with a young player like Chase that can cover a lot. The sooner we can figure that out, I can shrink my area down, and you want to use that young quick body that can get to a lot of balls. You know,
yeah.
so that's out. And in the mixed situation, Vicky, most of the time, not all the time, but in general, the guy's going to be a little bit better player than the lady, depending on how much better. And Ken, you and I have both been through this. You don't want them taking over so much that they're overextending themselves. So you got to find that balance. Sometimes it's 60-40, sometimes it might be 70-30. So the sooner you can find that balance, because there's certain balls that quick player needs to let go through because their partner can handle that. The quicker you can figure that out, I think it can lead to success or failure.
Absolutely.
I think the biggest takeaway that I've had though is don't be afraid to enter tournaments without a partner. Sometimes you can have a lot of fun, and it can be a really nice experience. I know my last experience with somebody I'd never played with before went really well, and I had a great time. So you know, the biggest thing, like I said, don't let it discourage you from entering a tournament when you may not have been able to get a partner.
Yeah. But I think with what we're talking about here, uh, I'm guessing all of us have been in a tournament with the blind date. Um, I'm thinking though, if you go into it with a positive attitude, and it's the same thing with talking about playing with all different players at rec play. The more scenarios you can put yourself in and find a way to win the game, I think overall it makes you a better player and a better tournament player, even with your partner, because it's all about figuring stuff out on the fly.
Yep.
Some of the best players that we play against are players that are good at strategy, good at figuring stuff out, and figuring it out quickly.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of time, I mean, and for me, it's been a process, because when I first started playing, it was like, I'm just going to get out here and out athlete these people and not have to think about a whole lot. But I had some guy players and some good female partners that were like, all right, Jeff, remember we're going at such and such, or we're going at their backhand, or we're, going to one player or the other. I'm caught up in the game, but they would kind of reel me back in and remind me what the strategy is, and off we go.
And if I can leave everybody with a parting shot, even the worst blind date can have a silver lining. If I can, I played in a Hollow Wheels tournament, played with a gentleman from Texas. We both didn't play very well. As a matter of fact, we didn't win one match the whole day. I was getting ready to leave, and one of the tournament officials said, "Where are you going, bud?" I said, "Well, I'm leaving. I'm done." He said, "No, you won a gold medal." And I said, "You've got to be kidding me." He said, "Nope, you and your partner were the only two in the over 70 group, so you win a gold medal." So it just goes to show you, even the worst experience can have a silver lining.
And unless you try, you just don't know. You could end up having a really great partner. And as we all say, pickleball is just such a friendly sport. Ken and I talk about how many friends we have all the time in pickleball. And that's another thing. You may end up with a good friend. You may end up with somebody who you might be able to play in another tournament with when you're stuck and you can't find a partner. So unless you get out there and you try, I hear people say, I'm only playing with people I know. Well, you may miss out. Give it a try. You just never know.
All right, guys, that was a great discussion on tips to succeed with a first-time partner. I think the number one thing that came out of it is communication before, during, after. Keep the talk going, keep it positive, have it a good mindset, and just continue to put yourself in the best possible position to succeed. So I think that's it for today, Bud, on that conversation. So back to you.
All right. Thanks, Krewe. That was a great discussion. And now, you know it, it's time for Jeff's Burr Under My Saddle.
You're burr under my saddle. You're a thorn sticking in my side.
Thanks, Bud. So last week, y'all, we did Burr Under My Saddle was actually, I played the part of the net, and I had told y'all last week. This week we're going to hear from the ball. So, guys, balls. I sat down last night. I got a whole rack of practice balls, and I know y'all think I'm crazy, but I did an interview with them. I sat down and talked with all of them. I didn't want to just take one ball and talk to it, because you can get different experiences, from a variety of balls. So the first thing was the biggest problem that they had. They're like, our job is just to get smacked around. just hit around all the time, you know, crushing shots. We get a few soft shots, but our job is rough. Do you want to just get smacked in the face all the time? So the first thing right off the bat is realize that as balls, our job is tough. We're taking a lot of licks here. I feel like we're in a boxing match. Okay, so that was the first thing that they told me. When there's an error, somebody makes an error, they take and just crush me into a fence or crush me into the net. It's not my fault, people. I'm just the ball. Okay? You made the mistake. So don't take me and hit me into a fence or into the net. It's not my fault. It's your fault. And then one of the last things that they talked about, okay, I'm sitting there doing my job, and then if somebody says, hey, look, there's a crack in the ball. Oh my gosh. When I crack a little bit, you know what happens to me? Some people put me down on the ground and they stomp me. How do you think we feel when that happens to us? The best scenario you can hope for is that they don't stomp you, they throw you into a garbage can, or some people take me and run a string through me, and next thing you know, I'm a Christmas tree decoration or a light string outside. Hey, my life, I was made to be on the court. I was not made to be a Christmas decoration. So, as a ball, that is this week's Burrs Under My Saddle. People, you need to remember this equipment that we play with has feelings too. Guess what we're going to hear from next week? We're going to hear from the paddle.
All right, Jeff, thanks for that Burr Under My Saddle. That was great. And now it's time.
Hey, Bud, I've got a shout out. Okay, Bud, my shout out today is for Bernard LaBlanc, who took time to be with us this morning. And he stayed a good long time. He showed us some amazing drills. But most importantly is he was so invested in the group, and he really wanted everybody to learn some really good techniques, learn to what to watch out for as far as strategy is concerned. He really showed us a lot of great things and just spent a lot of time with us. And we truly, truly appreciate your time, Bernard. Thanks a bunch. And that's it, Bud. Back to you.
All right, Vicki, thanks for that shout out.
Take a time out for a Coach's Minute.
All right, y'all. Welcome back to the Coach's Minute on the Pickleball Cruise podcast. Today, we're going to talk a little bit about some more advanced dinking techniques. Let us have it, Vicki.
And guys, the biggest trick with doing more advanced drills is to understand what it is that you're trying to get to. And as you progress, you're going to find yourself being able to stay in those dink battles a whole lot longer. So that's going to be your consistency that you're looking for. The other thing that we like to do is throw out what we call accuracy. And that's being able to hit the ball where you want to put it. And especially up here, when you get into those dink battles and you're trying to move the other party around, you really want to know that you can put the ball where you need to and try to keep moving, catch them at their back feet, whatever. So we actually like to do a lot of dinking drills. We spend a tremendous amount of time. Some mornings we spend at least an hour on nothing but dinks and trying to be as accurate as we can be.
And dinking to a spot, huh?
A dink to a spot, absolutely. So as you can see, we've got targets set out. Targets is one of my favorite things to use and try to get everybody to slow their games down, slow their minds down, slow the ball down, and focus on placing it in a certain spot. So we've got a little bit of a windy day today, but we're going to hang in there and practice. So what we're doing is we're going just nice and easy and trying to keep it in the targets.
So we're aiming for the middle of that target
You're aiming for the middle of those targets.
The middle of those
absolutely. And the other thing is too, you want to try to find some flat targets so that it's not the ball is not getting caught on anything that's standing up too much, or it's not a safe target for you to use either.
So y'all, we're not just dinking randomly. We are dinking to a spot in the center of those 4.
Right, and maintaining control over the speed of the ball. And I like to actually follow the ball down with my paddle. This is something that I teach a lot of the beginners to do, and that helps to put that paddle right behind it. That's me stepping back, just like we taught in the other one. Oh, all righty. So now one of the things we can do too is practice on a more elevated level is going cross court. Okay?
Still, we're aiming for the middle of those 4 targets. That's not very good. There's a good one. There's a good one, Vic.
We got a good, strong, windy day here.
It really makes you focus on your touch.
It does.
Like I'm overshooting there. That one's a little better.
Nothing but reach. Way to go. Way to get that one.
So, seems mundane, but we're aiming to the same spot. You want your dinking,
right.
You want your dinking to improve. You want your dinking to improve. Find you some targets and hit to that same spot.
Absolutely. Practice going both ways and spend a lot of time on it. Don't get bored with it. The longer that you do it, the more accurate you become and the more consistent you become.
Good stuff.
Okay.
All right, back to you, bud.
All right. Thanks, Vicki and Jeff, for that Coach's Minute. And now it's time for Ken and his tournament previews.
Hot off the press, it's time for Ken's tournament previews.
All right, thanks, bud. Let's start. April 20th, 21st. This is the 2nd annual Dinking in the Delta in Greenwood, Mississippi. Go to pickleballbrackets.com to register. Registration closes April 14th. It's $50 per person to register. Also on April 20th, this is the Spring Fling Mixed Doubles and Singles Tournament at Pelican Park. Go to globalpickleball.network. Registration closes on April 17th. This is put on by Gulf Coast Pickleball, Gulf Coast PB. They always do a great job. Michaela McCabe, this would be one to play. April 27th, this is the 5th annual Eastern Shore Classic in Daphne, Alabama. Go to pickleballbrackets.com to register. This will be at Lott Park in Daphne. April 27th, 28th also is the Vicksburg Open in Vicksburg, Mississippi. Go to pickleballbrackets.com to register. Registration closes April 21st for this one. There's already over 30 people registered for it. April 28th, April's a popular month for pickleball tournaments. This is a new one. It's called the Young Life Pickleball Tournament. We're going to put the URL. It's a long URL. It's, even though the flyer says mixed doubles and singles, it is mixed doubles only. Also, April 28th, Pickleball for a Cure, Fritchie Park Gym, Slidell, Louisiana. We'll put a flyer up. You can scan the QR code or call the phone number to register. This one will be indoors at Fritchie Park Gym in Slidell. Moving to May. May 3rd through 5th at the Club at the Township in Ridgeland, Mississippi. Go to pickleballbrackets.com. Registration closes April 26th for this one. There's already 80 people plus registered for that one. It should be a fun event. May 11th. This is the Heart and Soul Pickleball Tournament at Pelican Park. Go to globalpickleball.network to register. This is a fundraiser for No Heart Left Behind. You're going to have mixed doubles, gender doubles, and you're going to have a junior scramble where it'll be broken by age group, and each junior will partner with every other junior in their age group. That's going to be a fun time at Pelican Park. It's a one-day event, and we're going to be using the Selkirk Pro S1 Pickleball. More of that to come. May 18th, 19th, the State Games of Mississippi. This will be at Halls Ferry Park in Vicksburg, Mississippi. Go to pickleballbrackets.com to register. April 18th, 19th is also the Pickle in the Dell. This is a long-running tournament in St. Tammany Parish in Louisiana. This will be at Crossgates Fitness Center in Slidell, Louisiana. Registration is $65. That'll get you into 2 events. Go to pickleballbrackets.com to register. May 31st through June 2nd, the first annual Graywood Golf and Racket Club Pickleball Tournament in Lake Charles, Louisiana. I've played tennis at that facility. It's a beautiful facility, golf and racket tennis facility. And now they have pickleball, so that's going to be exciting. Gender doubles, mixed doubles, and singles. Registration closes May 22nd. Moving to August 8th through 11th is the second annual NOLA Pickle Fest in New Orleans at the Morial Convention Center. Go to pickleballbrackets.com to register. There's about 200 people already registered for this. This is a fun event where it's going to be inside the convention center, and they're going to use the rollout pickle roll courts to play on. Even if you're not registered, head down there on Saturday. Drew Brees, John McEnroe will be paired with a pro and play a match on center court. And look, bring your paddle because there's open courts. You can jump on and experience what the pickleball court feels like. Moving to September 6th through 8th, this is the Louisiana State Championship. So this will be at the New Orleans Hilton, and you go to pickleballbrackets.com to register. So if you medal in the state games, you'll qualify for the inaugural United States Championship in Dallas, Texas later that year. And if you gold medal, your fees are waived for the United States Championship. This is going to be a fun event. This will be at the New Orleans Hilton. Let's see, moving to October 4th through 6th is the Louisiana Senior Games in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Remember, this is a qualifying year for nationals. So if you medal in the state games, you'll qualify for nationals, which will be in the summer of 2025 in Des Moines, Iowa. Finally, October 25th through 27th is the Hollow Wheel in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. We're just weeks away from early registration opening. We'll pass that URL along as soon as we get it. That's it for tournament preview, Bud. Back to you.
All right, Ken, thanks for those previews.
This week, our local pickleball family lost a good friend and a great pickleball player. Paul Parrie passed away after a sudden and brief illness. From the pickleball crew, rest in peace, Paul.
Now, if nobody else has anything, I think it's time to say goodnight. Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
See you next week.
Hey, from the pickleball crew, thanks for watching, and we'll see you all next week. Well, that's it for this episode. We hope you enjoyed it. Be sure to leave any comments and please like and subscribe to our channel. Thanks again and see you next week.